Hi, welcome back to the Real Estate Expert Panel, where we discuss everything real estate, from how to buy and sell a home to home inspections. My name is Robert Goodspeed with Goodspeed Inspection Services.
I'm Aura with Keller Williams Realty Southwest.
And I'm Brad Fleming with Gary Green Realtors, Better Homes and Gardens.
Well, guys, welcome. Today we're going to discuss what is a realtor and why do I need one?
Well, a realtor is somebody that's licensed to represent another person in the purchase or sale of real estate, which is illegal to do unless you're an attorney. But I think there might be a limit to how many you can do a year. I'm really not sure.
Okay.
So you have real estate agents and you have realtors.
There's a difference.
There's actually a difference. Realtors are
with a capital R.
With a capital R, and realtors are a member of NAR, National Association of Realtors. And real estate agents don't have to be members of NAR. Some, depending on where you are, your broker might compel you to be a member of NAR.
So is there a benefit to being a realtor with a capital R and a real estate agent? I mean, is one better than the other?
I'm not going to say that one's better than the other. If you're a member of NAR, then you have to abide by a certain code of ethics and certain rules that you're not compelled to as a real estate agent.
So what exactly does a realtor do for me as a home buyer?
I think most importantly, you need a real estate agent in a real estate transaction for representation. There's a lot of things involved in a transaction, a real estate transaction, on the buy side and the sell side. So I think that maybe what we should do is break down the buy side or the sell side and talk a little bit about each. That might be a...
Well, go ahead, get it started. So what, buy side?
Okay, so the buy side, I guess the most important thing in the real estate purchase as a buyer is being able to have somebody that represents you, that knows the market, and knows how to carry the transaction through from the day you meet them until the closing. And there's a lot of things involved in between there. I guess first of all is finding the right home, and we have the tools necessary through the MLS to be able to deliver potential homes to a buyer that meets their qualifications.
So a buyer can say, look, I want this, I don't want to have whatever, and you can... Yeah,
they're going to give you the criteria of, price point, neighborhood, location, square footage, all kinds of different things. And it's your job as a real estate agent to put them in the right place, to give them the right angles on where to go. And then the next step is getting out and showing them the ones that they might be interested in.
So a buyer comes to you and says, hey, I want you to find me a house. Do you guys, is there a contract between you guys? Is
what
it
I
exclusive?
do, and every realtor handles things a little bit differently. And I feel very, very strongly that you need to make sure it's a big investment. You need to make sure that you're working with a realtor that you're comfortable with, right? There's tons of personalities and not everybody's
gel
a match.
Together a little
exactly.
bit, right?
So before I even start working with people, I say, great, let's set up a time to sit down and talk, because we need to make sure you like me, and I need to make sure I like you, because this is a big transaction and we need to be able to work well together. And when we meet, it's usually, I talk a lot. It should be a 10-minute meeting, but
Really?
but sometimes it goes on. And
but that's part of the gelling process,
it's
right?
Part of the gelling
you got
process.
A personal connection, right?
Exactly. And at that point,
if you hate the guy, you don't want to.
If we're sitting there going, oh yeah, then we
don't
really.
get along.
And I will tell them, if we're not clicking, you probably should work with someone else, because at some point you're not going to feel comfortable. I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
But
I
did
from
one
the
time.
inspector side, I've seen it happen.
I did one time. I was, interviewing this couple to work with them, and they said, okay, well, we'd like to think about it. And I was like, because it never happened to me before, ever. And I was like, okay.
What do you mean?
And I went and I sat outside and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. And then they came out and they said, yeah, okay, let's do it. And I said, okay. But it was a very interesting situation. So
the art of closing the deal, right?
I know.
I guess.
During that meeting, I strongly encourage them to get pre-approved. If they don't already have someone they're working with, then I line them up with somebody. And the reason for this is for their protection and so that I can better serve them. We find a house, they're not pre-approved, then we're behind in the game. Especially in today's market when so many offers are being
you get
put in.
all that work to find that house, and all of a sudden they don't get approved.
They
or
don't get
something,
approved, or it's not.
Well,
right?
And that can be really frustrating.
well-
So a realtor, we help manage emotions as well. A lot of what we do is intuitive. And you have all your paperwork. We make sure that all of the paperwork is taken care of, but we also want to, at least I do, and I'm certain you do as well. And I tell them, it's of paramount importance to me that this is a good experience. And so in order for it to be a good experience, I know I've seen this road. This is my everyday. So I know what's coming around the bend, and I try to line you up so that you can handle these things as
Well,
they
it's a
arise.
starting point too for a buyer. So, they know what they can afford.
Exactly.
From a monthly payment to, how much house can I buy?
Sometimes they can get more than they think they can. Sometimes it's less than they think they can.
Right.
But knowing is power. So we get them pre-approved. We do sign a buyer's representation agreement.
Okay.
Some agents don't. I do. And again, it's for their protection as well as mine. And once we get that signed, a buyer's representation agreement is pretty much like a marriage contract. It's, you're not working with any other realtors.
Oh,
And
you're
be-
exclusive,
and-
right?
Yeah, we're
That's
exclusive. We're dating. We're a thing, and it's official. And because I know that we're exclusive, then I can put all of my energy into you. And
It's a lot of work, right?
It's
I mean,
a lot of
I don't
Yeah.
see it, but go ahead.
You're right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's you want to make sure that you're under contract with somebody that that's knowledgeable and that can get the job done for you. So I think that's important too.
Yeah, so
it's finding somebody that an agent that's knowledgeable and knows the areas that you're wanting
Yes.
to concentrate in. From a
Right.
value standpoint and
has experience with what you're looking to do. If I were a buyer looking for an agent, I would first go by recommendation, right?
sure.
And then I would
Get
still,
most of my business
I
through
would still sit
recommendation.
down
Yeah.
and talk with them. I personally would be weary of anybody that just jumped in a car and said, "I'll meet you at the house," because we've not established a relationship, and you've not explained to me what to expect, and I don't like that. So I try to sit down with my clients. So obviously, I think that you should that an agent that takes the time to say, "Okay, let's pump our brakes for a second. Just one day, let's sit down, 10 minutes, I'll buy a cup of coffee, and let's talk about what your expectations are."
What you truly
Because an
want.
agent that just jumps in the car and goes to show you something, they're not listening. They don't
Well,
know what
I
your
remember
what
that
your needs
experience.
are.
That's a key there. I think a big key factor in real estate is listening.
Yes.
Because too many times you could get with an agent that they all they're looking for is
Close
the
that
sale,
deal.
close the deal. Versus hey, let's find the right thing for the
Let's
right person.
establish a relationship
and
and
let's
let's make
buy
sure
it.
that we.
Yeah, because what you're going to do is you're going to look. The idea is to get them what they want, and make them happy, so that they keep coming back.
Right, and tell all their friends and family.
Yeah, they're going to
neighbors
tell all
and-
their friends. I mean, referrals, like you were saying,
Right, we're trying to make money,
is
so.
a big thing in real estate.
It's a
And-
cornerstone of our business.
yeah, and past clients and past referrals and things like that are key in our business.
Right.
And so you want to do the best job you can for any particular client and make them happy so that they continue to push the word. And,
Well, I've had from the home inspector side, I've had people that they didn't buy the first house we inspected, and they had a certain realtor, and they'll call back a month later or whatever, say, "Hey man, that house didn't work out, for whatever reason." And I say, "Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully this is the one for you, and I'll go ahead and get you scheduled." And I say, your realtor is still Brad or
And it's
no,
not.
and it's not, and I'm like,
Well, that doesn't happen with my clients.
yeah,
Well, I know.
Wait a minute,
Oh,
wait a
well, I
minute.
should have used your name. I should have used
Yeah.
Jerry or something. But and then you find out that it's like, no, that realtor really wanted me to buy that house, and I didn't want to buy that house. And when it came down to brass tacks. I'm the one
happens,
paying
yeah.
the mortgage, and they really pushed for that to go to closing. So and that realtor just didn't get it. That person's going to buy a house, right?
Sure.
Eventually, and I'm sure it's a lot of work on your guys' side.
Well, a lot of those.
Getting someone to
a
that.
lot of times that happens through inspections, which is kind of part of the deal too, right?
Sure.
You find the home, You negotiate the contract, based on the current comparables that are out there, and I guess that's the next step. Once finding a home, is making sure you can negotiate the best deal for them based on what the market calls for.
So you work for the buyer when you
so here's the caveat. When you have a buyer's representation agreement, you work for the buyer. If you don't have a buyer's representation agreement, you technically are a sub-agent for the seller.
Yeah.
So technically you work for the seller.
Technically, you work for the seller.
So that's pretty important to have that buyer's, what's it called?
Buyer's representation agreement. There are some realtors that don't get it signed for whatever reason. I like it signed because I like established protocols and boundaries. Right. I like an opportunity. That's when I sit down and I tell my clients, this is what you can expect, and I tell them everything they can expect, and then I tell them, I'll be telling you this again and again throughout the transaction, because I understand it's my everyday, but it's not theirs.
The buyer's getting a lot of information.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep track.
And it
Which
helps.
they need.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you tell them, you might have to tell them multiple times,
And
right?
that's okay.
Because,
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, I get it. There's
That's
a
our
lot,
job.
a
That's
lot going
okay.
on. They're trying to figure out a
But the
house and it's
buyers-
money and
The buyer's rep details their responsibilities, our responsibilities, and I just tell them, your responsibility is to please take my calls. Please, pretty please. Like, don't go to Mexico. I had a client one time that went to Mexico in the middle of a transaction. I was like, I need you here. I need you to sign things.
So if you don't have that representation and you work for the seller, I mean, at that point, anything the buyer says, you tell the seller, or I mean, how do you keep that information?
I don't know, because I don't
It's a
do that.
negotiation, right?
I don't do that. I always have buyer's rep, so
Yeah. That's the best way to go.
Yeah.
You want to represent the buyer if you're that's who you're working for.
Right.
So.
Right.
And I think it's in the buyer's best interest to have a buyer's rep signed as well, frankly, because then the realtor is obliged to abide by certain rules, and everything you say is confidential. Everything. If you don't sign that, then technically it's not. I don't work that way.
Right.
I always have a buyer's rep, but yeah, it's a smart move, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're there to provide them the information that they need to make the right decision. And educating the buyer is, in the real estate transaction, is ideal. So
Educating them to what?
to values and to locations and to neighborhoods and to putting it in front of them so that they know they can make.
Give them that
at the end of the
type
day,
of
they're going to make the
schools
decision. Oh yeah,
They are, and they
they're
like
going to
it.
make
We
the
love it.
decision. You got to provide the information for them, and then let them decide what they want. Like you were saying, you can't force a buyer to buy a home. And a lot of times that agents try that, and it doesn't work.
Commissioner. I'd like for people to be aware of, or my advice on how they should choose an agent. And I said first that I would go first by recommendation and then interview that agent. If you don't have somebody that can give you a referral, then maybe look at agents in your area. You can see online agents that are moving.
Why don't you just call the guy on the sign out front? The gal on the sign.
You can do that. But the guy or the gal on that sign is representing the seller.
The seller, right.
Right?
You don't want to call them as a buyer.
Right. But I want to see this home, and I
Yeah.
don't have a realtor, right?
Right.
So I gotta, so at that point, that's when you gotta go through this process of trying to find a realtor to see that home, right?
Correct.
Right.
So I mean but you definitely don't want to just call the guy on the sign if you don't have a buyer, or not, a buyer's agent or an agent.
You can, but I always think that before you start looking at homes, you should already have your realtor. That goes first. You get your realtor pre-approved, and then you start looking at homes.
But I think how
I agree.
How it actually happens is people go online and look at houses
And that's
find
okay.
the house they want.
And then they call, and that happens sometimes.
That's right.
That it happens that way sometimes,
Yeah.
and that's okay. And another thing is, you do want a realtor with experience, because I'd say that a whole lot of what we do is not learned in any of the classes we take. It's just experience.
bet.
Experience, yeah.
It's experience.
That's right.
You probably just
However-
learn the laws. I mean, you learn the laws and the rules and the ethics, and
You
but
do.
then when it comes down to brass tacks to actually doing it, it's experience.
Yeah.
It's experience. But I also want to say that you have your big monster team agents, and then you have agents that run more of a boutique business. And what I want to say is that the monster team agent is not necessarily a better fit than a boutique agent, right?
Okay.
Because you're going to have a greater disconnect from that agent. You're usually dealing with a team, you get passed around, and if that's not something you're comfortable with, then you're probably better off with somebody that will work with you one-on-one throughout the transaction, that maybe has a
I think
TC
that's
that
most
calls
important.
in.
I mean,
You know,
from
so
an exclusive
it's-
standpoint, you one-on-one,
Right.
and that's the way I run my business.
Yeah.
I'd rather hire admins.
Well, communication is everything, right? In our business, and when you're going with a team or what have you, you're dealing with who's next, who's answering the phone next on
Right.
that team,
Right.
versus being able to reach out to your exclusive
Yeah, I don't-
agent to
I
get
wanna
the
talk to
information
the same
you
person
need.
every time.
Yeah,
Everybody's got
exactly.
different personality.
Yeah.
And the team gig is not a bad deal. But I just what I'm trying to say
Probably
is that
for
that's
the person
not.
who runs the team.
Yeah.
What I want to
It's a good
say
deal
is
for
that doesn't always mean that you're going to have a better experience.
Sure.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Because there's the warmth, the personable aspect of it is I don't know, and I always think because I've been told you're to hire a.
It's more personal.
It's more
I mean,
personal.
That's the bottom line.
That's the
It's-
bottom line. And
yeah.
I'm gonna give an.
I mean, just like
a
you say,
story.
when you go and you meet your clients before you even put them in the car to go show them homes. I mean, that's huge. I mean, that's a big thing. And
I had a buyer not too long ago that was just really overwhelmed with the whole process, and she called me, and she was in tears about something, and I realized she's just really stressed about this, and I said, you know what? Give me a minute. And I went by Starbucks and I picked up a cup of coffee, and I went to her house and I knocked on her door, and I sat on her couch with her, I gave her some coffee, and I drew a flow chart of what she could continue to expect.
Oh, what's next?
And I literally
that
just
helps
rubbed
a lot,
her
I would
back
say.
while she's stressed out. And my point is that's the personal touch that I like to give, right? And she was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you." And I'm like,
well, I can
"It's
assure you,
okay."
your clients are,
But my
expect that and like that. I mean, that's
and
Oh,
if I had a team of 10 people, then the odds of that happening
yeah,
might
it's different.
be
The interpersonal goes away with it.
right, because that's
bureaucracy
my
of-
personality. That's my personality, and that might not be the agent that's assigned's personality. But so I'm very mother henish with my clients, And,
How about you, Brad? Are you Mother Hennish also?
Well, not exactly. I kind of approach it a different way. But we can get into that
see,
later.
Well,
but that's
you're probably
the
the
deal,
same
though.
way, but we're going to call it something more manly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's where you have to find an agent that fits you and your needs,
Right.
right? And
Right.
and there's so many different personalities, and you might want the whole corporate move thing, or you might want something more intimate and personal, or you might want. It just really depends, and there's as many agents out there as there are people. There's a lot of agents.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. They come and they go.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I like this getting together with you two, because I know you've got 22 years experience,
Yes.
23, and you've got 17 or so, and it makes a huge difference. It comes.
Well,
and you
just
guys
the
are
knowledge and the
steadfast.
experience and the
Right.
that's regardless of the agent you go with. That's something that you want to consider.
I think there's a lot of turnover with real estate agents.
Yeah.
Because I'll work with one and really kick it off, hit it off, make
Yeah.
it click with them, and we work well and protect our buyer and all that sort of thing. And the next thing you know, I send them an email and they're like, I'm out of the business. I'm selling cars.
Really?
Yeah, I've lost, and I think, man, you're going to be you're doing a great job. And next thing you know, now they're gone.
Yeah.
So, steadfastness. And
Well,
longevity makes a
the
difference.
deal with that too is people don't realize real estate is a full-time job. You
Is
can't-
it? It's not
no,
part
no, no,
time.
no. Real estate is a lifestyle.
Yeah, it is.
It
It
is a
is.
lifestyle.
And I mean, there's too many people get into the business that, I've dealt with agents and they get into the business and they've got, a 9-to-5 job, but they're trying to work real estate and you can't. It just doesn't
I
work.
don't
You're not
think you
doing
can
your clients
represent-
justice
yeah.
on either side.
Well, they probably can't take your phone call when you need it. They're
No.
not working when you need
Yeah,
it.
no, so that's
You gotta work
why
the
you
trade.
have a lot of the turnover that you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's because people, they see all the numbers and the glory and everything, and it's like,
Oh, they see those.
it's,
commissions.
you know, you're working nights, you're working weekends, real estate agents that are successful are 24/7. That's it.
I don't know, because I tell people I'm asleep by 8. I'm so lame. And I tell them, you can text me and call me all you want after 8, and I will be sure to call you back at 5 when I wake up. But, I'm asleep.
I get texts and emails from realtors at midnight. I mean, it's like, so I think it's a, like you say, 24/7, and all weekend you're working all weekend long. So how long do you think an average buyer, let's say, not too picky, you're going to show them how many houses, just your average buyer, how much time do you think it takes from them to go from the process of, I know it all matters.
It depends. I mean, sometimes you get lucky and they'll call you on one house and that's the house.
And that's it.
That's it.
In my experience, and I'm not sure what it consists of, but I generally get people in their houses by our third tour. And
Third one?
Third tour.
So you really, obviously you really have to know what they're looking for.
I would really narrow it down.
You're not going to show them a house with 6 bathrooms.
We really talk about
we
really talk about why they want what they want. I just kind of hold a mirror up to them and help them understand what their real priorities are. And we look at not very many houses at a time. But by our third tour, on average, we're under contract.
How about you, Brad? What do you think?
Again, it just depends. In my experience, like I said, every now and then you get lucky and somebody will call.
That happens.
I found my dream home.
And that's it.
Here's the deal.
Well, like
buyers these days are educated.
We found this house and you helped us buy it.
Yeah. The buyers these days are educated based on everything they can get off the internet.
Well, they have
now.
access to the MLS.
They've got access. So they know. So a lot of times when they come to you, they need you for a lot of things, drafting the contracts, negotiating the deals, and so on. So a lot of times I'll get clients that come to me and they say, okay, hey, we've been looking. Here are the homes we want to see. We get them in the car, we take them out, we show them the homes, and it could take a week, it could take a month. It could, it just depends. Every deal's different,
right?
So, but at the end of the day, it's making them happy. That's
right.
You want to find the right deal in the right place for them. And just like going to inspections, sometimes you find the perfect house and you as an inspector goes in and maybe it's not as perfect as they thought,
Right.
So are you back to the drawing board or are things workable? Can things be fixed? Everything's fixable, right? Generally in real estate, right? So or negotiable, absolutely. So these are the things that all fall in line with the whole process from start to finish. And we could talk about that process for an hour.
Well, we'll save that one for another video.
We'll save that for another video. Yeah.
So I'm the buyer again. So how much is all this expertise going to cost me?
Goose egg.
A goose egg? What do you mean?
Nothing.
Seriously?
Yes.
Seriously.
So who pays for?
You just gotta be ready to hear from me for the rest of your life.
Oh no.
That's what I tell people. You will be hearing from
all
me
I hear is
forever.
that
No.
So
the seller pays the broker commissions.
So it comes out of the seller side.
That's correct.
So it comes out of the seller's.
It comes out of the seller's net.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
So when I'm going to step over to the listing side really quickly.
Uh-oh.
When an agent goes to list a house, they negotiate the commissions for compensation from the seller. And then at that point, when they list the house, they put up a certain percentage for the buyer's agent.
Okay.
Right? And that's how the buyer's agent gets paid.
So the buyer's agent doesn't, I guess it's probably standard across the board somewhat. I mean, we won't have to get into commissions, but, is it, it can vary per property, it can vary per person.
Commissions are negotiable. There's nothing set in stone.
So you don't know when you go to show a home yet?
We do know. We do know because we can see it in the MLS.
Okay.
Right.
So what it comes down to, though, is as a buyer, I'm not paying for anything. So there's no reason as a buyer I shouldn't be getting the best realtor I can find. It's not like I got to pay extra.
You're getting the best agent you can for free.
Right. Yeah. So it's not I'm going to go low end and get myself a cheap agent because the cost is just the same for a great agent.
That's right.
So that's why we call Brad Nora. Right?
There you go.
What office are you guys with again? You have to
Better Homes and Gardens.
Gary Better Homes and Gardens.
Yeah.
All of Houston.
Yeah.
All of Houston.
Yeah, we've got 20 houses around Houston.
I'm with Keller Williams and I do all of Houston.
So you guys cover it all. So if you need a good realtor, these are the guys to call.
That's right.
So we've got all their information listed down below, somewhere down there. And you have any questions at all, email them. I'm sure you can find us all online. If you look hard enough, you can find it. So I appreciate
Thanks
you
for
guys
joining
joining us today. Appreciate it. And please subscribe below and like this video. It really helps. If you have any comments whatsoever, hopefully they're positive comments, leave them down below so that we can make these videos better for you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a great day.